One of our earliest favorites, rich with spices from the Indies, plump with fruits and nuts, hermits originated in Cape Cod in clipper ship days. They went to sea on many a voyage, packed in canisters and tucked into sea chests. Let's make the best cookie of 1880, the Hermit. For our hermits, we'll need to start by mixing the shortening, sugar, and eggs thoroughly. Shortening, sugar, and eggs. So I've got some brown sugar here, our shortening. And here's the thing. For a lot of these recipes, I'm gonna be halving or quartering the recipe because they just make so many cookies. And so this recipe originally called for multiple eggs. I'm making a quarter batch. So I'm gonna try to put a half an egg in here. And I figured I would accomplish that by kind of just scrambling it and pouring it approximately half. And then I'll use the other half for something else. Maybe I used a little bit more, who's to say? It's too late now. So we're gonna mix that together. A lot of these recipes use shortening in them, which I'm using Crisco. I think it was just, especially in these early like 1800s recipes, having shortening or lard available, it's probably much more accessible than butter. It does make for an interesting texture. Have these kind of lumps of shortening. Okay, that's mixed enough. Stir in the coffee. So I have got a bit of coffee here. Okay, interesting. Measure flour by dipping method or by sifting. Okay, so again, because of the weird measurement situation, I'm gonna be measuring flour by weight because I had to divide it into something weird. So I'm zeroing out my scale right now. And I'm going to weigh out 110 grams of flour. Might be the rest of this container. Oh, 104, 108, 110. Stir together dry ingredients, blend into shortening mixture. Okay, so the dry ingredients, which I know I should have put them in a separate bowl. Listen, we're getting a lot of cookies here. Don't get on me about this. We're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. We're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. We're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And those are the dry ingredients. Looks very brown. I don't know what a hermit is. I guess it's a very brown cookie. Now I'm gonna add some nuts and some raisins. I found the ratio, and again, I hope I did the ratios okay, but I found the ratio of nuts and raisins to dough to be really different than I would have imagined. You can see it's like there's a lot of raisin in there. And so I think it almost might be because it's a way to kind of stretch flour and shortening and stuff. Like it's kind of filling it with the nuts and the raisins, the dried fruit. It looks pretty loose, but it needs to refrigerate for at least an hour. So we'll see what it looks like after it gets a little bit chilled. Betty's got a note on nutmeg here. Let's take a look. Nutmeg, a popular spice in cookie baking, is one of 2 spices yielded by the fruit of a certain species of evergreen tree grown in the Molucca Islands. Just under the fruit husk is a red covering that is sun-dried, ground, and sold as the spice mace. The heart of the fruit is the nutmeg kernel. The larger ones are sold whole, and the smaller ones are ground. For freshest flavor, buy a whole nutmeg and grate it yourself. All right, our hermit dough has been in the fridge for a while and it's still quite pliable, but we're gonna use this little scooper and try to get them out into little teaspoonful scoops. They are supposed to be 2 inches apart. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, it's got like kind of a peanut butter consistency that I would not identify as a cookie consistency, but part of me is like, maybe that's what cookies were like in the 1800s. It did have like significantly less flour than I thought it would. Maybe we've just evolved. All right, these are gonna go into a 400-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. Let's look at some of the historical highlights from the 1880s. In 1880, Miss Parloa's new cookbook was published and distributed by the Compliments of Washburn Crosby Company, which was a forerunner to General Mills. In 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge, sometimes called the 8th wonder of the world, was opened. In 1886, The Lady with the Lamp, the Statue of Liberty, was dedicated at Bedloe's Island, New York. All right, it's time to taste our Hermits. It's very soft and cakey, but not dense. Kind of still like kind of fluffy. The raisins and the nuts are great. You get a lot of the like, you know, nutmeg, cinnamon, that kind of flavor too. It's pretty nice. It's very flavorful. Hermits, the best cookie of 1880.